Imagine you could save towards multiple goals, invest for the future, save in dollars, and earn much higher interest than your bank all from one app. With Piggyvest, you can do all this and more. Piggyvest helps you save and invest on the go. With Piggyvest, you have all the tools to reach your savings and investment dreams. If you want to save daily, weekly, or monthly automatically, it's easy too using AutoSave. You can also save a lump sum whenever you'd like with Quick Save. On Piggyvest, investing is no longer out of reach with Investify. Piggyvest has unique savings options. You can choose how strict or flexible you want to be with your savings. Did we mention there are no hidden charges?
Odun, welcome to Eco Atlantic Sales Office, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How did you come up with Piggyvest?
Well, we started in 2016, and incidentally, we got the idea from a Twitter post. Well, there was a lady who had saved like $1,000 every day in an actual wooden box from January 2015 to December 31st, 2015, and then she broke it and then made that tweet, and then it went viral. And everyone was like, oh, I'm going to get a wooden box, I'm going to get a wooden box. And then my co-founder kind of sent it to our WhatsApp group chat, and he's like, guys, is there a way we can make this more sustainable? And we work very fast, as is evidenced by our string of many failed startups and one successful one before Piggyvest. And so we were like, okay, let's figure out a way. And 2 weeks after that, we had the first version of Piggyvest.
Oh, wow, only in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And how did you first start? How did you get your first client, and how fast have you been growing since?
So what happened after that was we had the first version out, and then we went to the guy on Twitter who was retailing the wooden boxes and told him, hey, so we built this, which functions as a digital piggy bank. Do you want to try it out? So that was essentially our user zero. And we decided that we didn't have any funding for the product at the time. So we decided to just leverage social media. Everyone was on the new year, new me, I'm going to save a ton of money craze. And so we decided, okay, let's leverage social media. So we used memes, GIFs, referrals, word of mouth, and everything that didn't involve spending money to kind of get like the first set of users in 2016.
And that's impressive.
Thank you.
And today, how's your growth phase today?
Very good. We now stand at about 400,000 users, and I'm growing about 15 to 20% month on month. And so far, it's been really decent. Still growing with peer-to-peer recommendation and word of mouth, and then a bit of Instagram ads because we figured out those work. But really, it's really been about users understanding the product, liking it, and then referring it to other people.
That's impressive.
For the past 2 years that we have worked on the product, we've, for the most part, bootstrapped. So it's great to get outside funding, and especially getting it from local investors here in Nigeria. That's something that is largely unprecedented, because like this amount of money usually comes from outside of the country. So we feel really lucky, and for the most part, we hope that we can live up to the expectations of having raised this money from Nigeria. But I think it's a super nice process.
So away from a culture of startups in Nigeria looking to investors and venture capitalists out country, piggybank.ng has been able to raise significantly $1.1 million from inside the country. Can you talk us through how you were able to achieve this?
Well, I think we're very lucky. We've been running for 2 years. With actually bootstrapping the company for about 2 years. And we're actually approached by a couple of investors, actually. It was actually a very short deal. Actually took about 2 weeks to close. We're very fortunate. We're actually very lucky for that. That happened, actually. So we actually never really looked for investors, per se.
Okay, cool. So tell us about the first job at the startup. Which startup did you work for at the time?
Right. So I think I graduated 2013, and that July, 2 weeks after, I just told my dad I was going to Lagos to go try to find something to do that period NYSC before going for my masters. And so I'd been coming back from a job interview. I lived in an estate with some family members, and as I was walking back like from the interview, which went badly by the way, and Sumto just reached out of a window, and Sumto was like, "Hi, Odoayo, come inside." And I entered. I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" And he said they're working on a startup, which probably was the first time I heard that word. And he said called Paroles. And Paroles was this discount loyalty card startup that they were doing, where users would get one card and get discounts from a number of merchants. So he asked, did I want to join? And I was like, sure. And
what made you say yes?
I swear, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know. It's very hard to say this is why. But I'd known Sumto from Covenant.
So you guys were close friends of Covenant?
No, not close friends, just friends.
I know him.
Yeah, and I tried to join something he was doing in Covenant, but that didn't quite work out. So when he said join this one, I was like, cool. He was one of the most creative people I'd known in CA. So when he said, yeah, I was like, cool, I'll do it. And so I started with social media. And then as we went down the line, I took on a bit more responsibility. And in the middle of that, Sumto had also started to build something called CV Flash. And what CV Flash did was allow people like put together their CVs and then send it to employers.
And that was what became Push CV?
Yeah, because when he started doing CV Flash was his mini side project while we ran Paroles full time. And then one day we're having a conversation. We stayed till late in the office, and he's like, oh, the people have been asking him this CV thing. Can you start sending their CVs to employers for them? So he started to layer on another platform on top of CV Flash. And so I joined him like, yeah, I can rewrite CVs. I was pretty good creatively. And so started rewriting CVs, started tracking payments, and he was building the technical side.
Right.
And that was
so it was just the two of you at that time?
Yeah, just both of us. Side project again. Full-time job was like the Paroles thing. And then we'd seen something on the internet around Lead Path, which was an accelerator launching, and Sumto applied. Like, we didn't know. And then one day we got an email that said, come and pitch. Come and pitch Push CV. And we all we lived in Ogba. And so we all piled into AY's car and drove to Yaba to go pitch the first time we met Mr. Olumide. And, Mr. Olumide asked us all these questions. And I remember we all sat in his office and he was like, what did you graduate with? What did you graduate with? And, what course did you do? What did you graduate with? So we answered all these questions. We finished pitching and we left. He asked us about valuation, but I think we're just like pulling answers out of our ass, honestly. And we went, and then we got an email saying that they were interested and, they wanted to kind of invest. And that's kind of how we became co-founders of Push CV and inadvertently started a tech company.
Interesting. So when you were talking about the story about Lead Path, you mentioned that there was AY already. So how did you go from you and Sumto to the rest of you that now became co-founders?
So you remember I joined Paroles as a staff. So
yeah,
Sumto, Josh, AY were co-founders of
Right.
And so I was working there, and so and AY was the one that had a car, and all of us had to. He was with us. So he drove us there, and then we came back from that meeting after getting the mail, realizing we needed to structure a company. And at the time, so we just did. So we had Push CV and we started working on it, and that's literally how I became a founder in, I think it was March 2014, maybe like 8 months after I graduated.
Very interesting. And of course, you never went back to do any other interviews.
I actually didn't do any more interviews after that. But what happened was that as you run a startup, you realize that startups don't make much money in the beginning stages, and all of the money that we were making had to go right back in. And so I had to pick up doing things on the side, which is how I became a writer at TechAbout, a writer at TechPoint. I wrote as a Coco. It was a fun couple of years.
Interesting. So tell us how, you guys did Push CV, you guys got funding from Olumedia Lead Path, and then Piggyvest came about. So at what point did you know what, let's focus on Piggyvest versus, Push CV is not working? What was that transition like?
So there was something that we realized about ourselves early on is that one, we love what we're doing at Push CV, but as we had conversations, it became for us more than just the product and really concerning the people we were serving. So, serving like people with Push CV, connecting people to employers, we realized, we actually are serving our own generation of people, and the problems go far, far beyond getting jobs for them. Right. And so we started to think of what else is going on, and we were like this group of people. We were running a startup, but we thought we could do more than one thing at the same time, and so we had Push CV. And then we, after a while, Push CV was going really well. People were, we're doing pre-screening, so it was kind of unique at the time and different than what was available. So we started 500 dishes. That's a while down the road. One of the interesting things about 500 dishes was the idea behind it was, all these people are getting jobs for. A lot of them have side hustles. A lot of people cook on the side. Some people are too busy to cook. How about we bring those people together? And it was really good. 500 dishes made it onto all these startups to watch list and things. And then we had this food festival. We actually had 2 food festivals, very well attended. But what became very clear was Nigeria is a logistical nightmare. And I don't even think that has changed. So then we had the wildest problems, in the beginning it was good. Then we started to realize when people cook for someone over the platform, there's that problem of disintermediating you, where they just connect over WhatsApp. That was one. But that one you could even solve for. The second thing was getting the food delivered. We partnered with courier companies, didn't quite work out. Got our own personal bikes, and the nightmare just didn't stop. At some point we realized that it was becoming a money sink.
Right.
And so naturally we had to bring it to a stop. And as we moved on, we were like, no, there's still more to be done there. And we started 99 staff. 99 staff was for outsourcing, and again, it started very, very well. But we built 99 staff on the premise of P2P outsourcing. I'd outsource to you because I have extra work. But P2P in Nigeria is also kind of undeveloped because the chicken and egg thing. You need enough outsourcers to get enough outsourcees, and you need the other way around as well. So 99 staff was great in that we got one large corporate client. And so we didn't notice the chicken and egg problem early on. By the time the contract ended, it became clear that we hadn't developed the P2P aspect very well. And so that actually died too, because lessons, right? And then we had front desk, and then
we were just trying out
we were
and all this while Push CV was still there.
Running, So, and obviously making enough to fund these experiments as well. So we tried again with front desk, again, because it was that same market of job seekers were doing selling on Instagram and selling on Twitter, and there just was something there. We didn't quite know what. And so we tried again with front desk, and we tried again with household. And then by
That's
this
4
time,
companies I can count now.
and probably some that we didn't even name, right? And so we were really it was a fun team. There was ideas flying around, and we were young enough to just go for it, just go for it. Yeah, and so but the slight negative effect of all of this experimentation is at some point your attention doesn't focus as much on the main thing. So in 2000 and all of these things were 2014, 2015. 2015, we came up with this brilliant idea that was a growth hack for Push CV called the Elite Employee Quest. Right? It was basically a competition nationally for young people to kind of enter. We had, I think, 5 stages, can't remember. But stage 1 was the basics. Stage 2 was testing of your basic reasoning. Stage 4 was CV review. Stage 5 was specialist tests. I can't remember the order. Either way, it was sharp. Basically, you start from telling us your basics and answering basic questions to doing quantitative verbal.
So your whole interview process.
Yes, and then we make sure your CV is fine, and then you do specialist tests supplied to us by employers. This actually went great, right? And it went we had all of these infographics in the papers, and we actually had employers reaching out I'll hire people from this this program. And like people were signing up on Push CV. We went from like, I don't know, I think we had like maybe 50K people to 600K people in like 4 weeks.
It's a huge jump.
Unemployment, right?
Yeah.
But what happens here is your CV writing service suddenly needs to be scaled up. And so we got some bridge funding to like run us through it, made it back very quickly because people were signing up, were reviewing CVs, had like a lot of interns who were very inexperienced, had a lot of interns, and everything went well. The elite employee quest went great. When it ended, we still had CV backlog, and we continued to write and continue to make revenues. Of course, the bad decision we made was that after like the program ended, we didn't like lean back and say, how do we plan like hiring? Like there's interns. What do we do with them? And like, do we like do best performing people and all of that? We just kind of converted all interns to full staff. And upped their salary. So we went from a company of maybe 7 people to like 25 people, and without realizing, elite employee quest money will run out. How are you going to sustain it? By the end of 2015, we were down to our last, I don't know, I think it was 1 million, 2 million naira. And we had to take like the most heartbreaking decision that we'd ever had to take, letting people go. And so that December, it was really tough for us. Everyone was home and it was just really up in the air what 2016 was going to be. So before, like after Christmas, I think, we had sat with everyone and told them we would pay them like 3 months into the future, but we couldn't like guarantee employment moving forward. Heartbreaking. But it was all it was. And we went back to the bare bones of the team. And then December 31st, 2015 came. We were just on Twitter. This had happened. It was unclear what next year was going to be. And then we saw the tweet that, so Joshua saw that tweet of the lady who broke her wooden box. So she had saved 1,000 every day. And she had 365K and it went viral. And everyone was, I want a wooden box, I want a wooden box. And Joshua and I had this little exchange on Twitter about like the personalization and the sustainability of digitizing a wooden box. And then he brought the tweet back to the group chat, and we were like, oh, we should try it. I mean, we've been trying things.
Do experiments all the time.
We've been trying things, and so Somto decided, I'm going to build this. And so this was 31st of December, 2015. I think it was less than 2 weeks later, Somto had the MVP for piggybank.ng ready. He built it himself. Like that's what he did. Somto built every single thing for us at that time on his own, like alone. So 2 weeks later, we had an MVP, and the journey of piggybank.ng kind of just started from there.
Wow, that's a long road to get into.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you guys launched, what was the first year of Piggy Bank at that time? What was it like?
It was very fascinating because when we launched, like, we're these like young people, 22, 23, deciding, oh, we want to do this. Not a lot of research had gone into it. We just knew we wanted to do this. So when we built it, at that time, actually, Paystack had just launched, making it like a perfect time to do like daily, weekly, monthly savings. So Paystack was our first partner. And then, what do you know? We put it on Twitter, so it was now shared responsibilities, right? Somto was building, Joshua was answering the phones, I was doing the ops and the social media. And so we just put it out on Twitter, like, this is this thing. Josh did some direct sales by like sending the platform to all of those people who were selling wooden boxes. And then people started to kind of sign up. They started to sign up.